In the high-stakes, hyper-competitive world of Silicon Valley, there is perhaps no company more central to the future of technology than Nvidia. As the primary architect of the hardware powering the global artificial intelligence boom, Nvidia is the digital equivalent of a modern oil refinery. They hold the keys to the future. So, when news broke in early 2022 that the company had been breached, and that a massive amount of sensitive data was currently leaking onto the public internet, it wasn't just a corporate crisis, it was a global technological tremor. The company that designs the most advanced processors in the world had found itself completely exposed, not by a state-sponsored military unit, but by a young, chaotic, and relentlessly brazen group of hackers known as Lapsus. The story of the Nvidia hack is a study in the collapse of the illusion of absolute security. Nvidia, a company with an almost bottomless budget for cybersecurity, had built a virtual fortress. They employed the best talent, used the most sophisticated detection systems, and maintained a security posture that was supposed to be impenetrable. Yet, the hackers managed to burrow deep into their internal network, exfiltrating a staggering terabyte of data, including trade secrets, employee credentials, and, most explosively, proprietary source code for their graphics drivers and AI technologies. It was a breach that hit the company at its absolute core. The source code of a tech giant is its DNA. Once it is public, it can be reverse-engineered, studied, and exploited by competitors, state actors, and other criminals for years to come. What made the Nvidia incident truly shocking was the audacity of the attackers. Lapsus did not just steal the data and hold it for ransom, they immediately pivoted to a campaign of public humiliation and blackmail. They used their Telegram channel, their digital megaphone, to broadcast their triumph. They mocked the company's internal security teams, posting screenshots of internal dashboards as if to say, "We were here, and you didn't even know." They demanded that Nvidia remove the crypto mining limiters from their graphics cards, a technical constraint Nvidia had placed on their consumer hardware to appease gamers. It was a bizarre, almost mischievous demand that signaled this was about more than just money, it was about asserting power over the giants of the industry. The actual methodology behind the Nvidia hack serves as a terrifying, sobering reminder of how we have optimized ourselves into vulnerability. Lapsus didn't discover a secret, complex vulnerability in Nvidia's silicon architecture or a revolutionary exploit in their firewall. They used social engineering. They targeted the employees themselves. They understood that the most effective way to bypass a multi-million-dollar defensive perimeter is to simply walk through the front door using a legitimate credential. By targeting individuals, whether through phishing, SIM swapping, or bribery, the attackers gained access to internal VPNs and corporate communication tools. Once they were inside, the network trusted them. They weren't hackers in the eyes of the system, they were authorized users. The aftermath was a scene of frantic damage control. Nvidia's security teams were forced into a total, scorched earth response. They had to assume that every single system, every password, and every internal communication tool had been compromised. They had to reset thousands of credentials, isolate entire segments of their network, and engage in a high-stakes legal battle to suppress the distribution of the stolen data. But you cannot unring a bell. Once that code was dumped onto the dark web, it was everywhere. It was a failure of confidentiality that Nvidia would be dealing with for years. The shockwaves from the Nvidia hack were felt in every boardroom across Silicon Valley. It forced a fundamental, existential question: if Nvidia can be hacked like this, who is actually safe? It exposed the reality that the human firewall is the single, persistent point of failure in our modern digital existence. As corporations have shifted to remote work, cloud-based infrastructure, and interconnected global teams, the security of the enterprise has become inextricably linked to the security of the individual employee's home office. The hackers didn't need to defeat Nvidia's brilliant engineers, they just needed to find the one employee who clicked the wrong link, who used a password they'd reused, or who could be convinced to share a code over the phone. The Nvidia breach served as a grim catalyst for a shift in cybersecurity culture. It highlighted that our obsession with high-tech, AI-driven threat detection has left us exposed at the most basic, psychological level. It forced a massive investment in hardware-based security keys, a move away from SMS-based multi-factor authentication, and a much more aggressive stance on endpoint security, The idea that you must protect the device itself, not just the network it connects to. Companies began to realize that their employees were no longer just users, they were the primary target of sophisticated social engineering campaigns that looked, sounded, and acted exactly like legitimate business communication. Ultimately, the Nvidia hack was a milestone in the history of the tech industry because it stripped away the veil of corporate omnipotence. It proved that for all our advancements in machine learning, high-performance computing, and digital infrastructure, we are still fundamentally limited by the nature of the people who operate those systems. We have built an economy where we trust the machine, but we have failed to secure the human. The source code was stolen, the secrets were leaked, and the reputation of a titan was shaken, but the real impact was a loss of the illusion of total control. As we look at the legacy of this event, we see a tech industry that is, perhaps for the first time, truly paranoid. And in the world of cybersecurity, paranoia is the only rational response. The Nvidia breach reminds us that your data is only as secure as the person who last logged in. It teaches us that in our rush to automate and interconnect, we have created massive, systemic dependencies that can be dismantled with a single, well-crafted message. The company eventually moved on, the processors continued to ship, and the AI boom continued its trajectory, but the lesson remains. In the race to the future, the most important technology is not the silicon in the chip, it is the vigilance of the human who guards the door.